Thank you so much, Director Browning, and thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight. This is our Maryland Commission on LGBTQIA+ Affairs meeting for the month of May. Can go ahead and move to our next slide. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. So welcome to any members of the public. The Maryland Open Meetings Act allows members of the public to observe our commission meetings. Please do keep any microphones muted and your video off for the duration of the meeting. Do not use the chat or disrupt the meeting in any way. Commissioners and staff, please keep your microphones muted when you are not speaking. We ask individuals to raise their hands physically or by using the raise hand feature to be called on. Please address people by commissioner and last name, chair or vice chair and last name, and then director and last name. We also have a meeting standard of including our pronouns in Zoom. I'm going to actually make an ask. We haven't been doing this on a consistent basis, so I really would like to ask if all of the commissioners can set an excellent example for everyone and make sure that we are reflecting our pronouns in Zoom. That helps us to refer to one another respectfully and also model that we are using our voted and agreed upon meeting norms. So how to update and add your pronouns in Zoom, you click on participants located on the bottom toolbar, find your name on the participants list, hover over it and click on more, select rename, and then updating your name and pronouns there and select rename to save, and you can view that in the participants list. And Director Browning will drop that info link into the chat on how to save and update your name and pronouns in your Zoom profile on a more permanent basis. And we can go ahead to our next slide. Our meeting guidelines. The purpose of these are to create a safe, positive, and inclusive environment for the commission, participants, staff, and the public, creating a safe space for a diversity of contributors, thoughts, and ideas. We ask individuals to assume positive intent on the part of commissioners, moderators, participants, and staff, and also please own your impact. Do not use transphobic, homophobic, biphobic, misogynist, xenophobic, racist, anti-Black, ableist, ageist, or foul language. Any misgendering, name-calling, and insults will not be allowed. We ask you to listen actively, allowing others to complete their thoughts, listening to listen and not listening to respond. And please default to both and thinking instead of either or thinking. Great. And we'll go ahead and do our roll call. So please hop off of mute and you can say present here, something to that effect when I call your name. Vice Chair Pease.
Good evening, everyone present.
Thank you. Commissioner Bell.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Bryan. Commissioner Caballero.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Deere.
Here.
Thank you. I believe Commissioner Doan cannot make it. Commissioner Dunn.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Fox, I believe, also cannot make it, as well as Commissioner Hollywood and Commissioner Kennedy. Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Commissioner Nira.
Here.
Commissioner Novak.
Here.
Commissioner Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Stern communicated that they won't be able to make it. Commissioner Tulin.
Here.
Commissioner West cannot make it. Commissioner Chung Sun.
They will be joining shortly.
Okay, great. Wonderful. And that concludes our roll call. To refresh on our voting procedures, we're using the green check mark to indicate a yay or yes vote, the red X to indicate a nay or a no vote, And then to abstain, you'll reflect neither of those. And you can find those under the React button on the bottom of your screen if you're on a laptop. Just for the approval of the agenda, we're going to use the unanimous consent model. We had Director Browning sent this out via email in advance of the meeting. So wanted to leave some space and time for any updates or corrections that need to be made to the agenda. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and assume that is the approval and consent for moving forward. Great, and for the chair report, I'll have a fairly brief report. Yeah, it remains to be a extraordinarily difficult time for our communities, and it is just pretty stressful, for those of us who are living in our identities, and then also particularly if we are serving community, which everyone here is certainly also doing. So I am so grateful to be in y'all's company, and then to be working with so many excellent folks who are doing such a great job to both try to take care of themselves through this work, and then also who are serving our often most vulnerable community members throughout the state. It is really meaningful work, and it is also great to have you dedicating your time and effort and service to the state in this way to be participating on this commission. In addition, I would just note as well that we're about to move into Pride season. It's so important, as we all know, to find and strive towards ways to seek joy and to seek connection with one another. So Pride season is traditionally I don't know, been, I guess, a combination of a party / community connection space, depending on the nature of your event. But it feels all that more important this year with all of these attacks on our community to really be able to offer that service. I know so many of you will be tabling and attending Pride and serving our community as you continue to do so. And I just want to thank you all and note, that if you're throwing a Pride, we really thank you for all of that intense and immense labor that is going into all the planning, the decisions, to create a space, for us at a time when we really, really need that for our community who are, frankly, they're afraid, they're wondering what the future holds, and y'all are doing such an immense job to make sure that folks are making it through this. So thank you again. And I know I'm really looking forward to Pride season. It's always a little bit tiring for those of us who aren't just attending to have a fun party. But I think the real joy is, connecting with our community and seeing the impact that it has on folks' daily lives as they're getting additional resources. And then also just the benefits of being out and about in community as themselves in a space where they're able to be their full selves and be held and noted for that. So thank you all for, again, the immense amount of time, energy, and effort and labor that's going into your work. And I hope and encourage you to continue to seek and find joy literally wherever possible right now, because the only way forward is through all of this. And it is bad and it is going to get worse. So really pursuing that joy is going to be absolutely essential to making sure that we all maintain our ability to continue the important work that we're doing, as well as to make sure that we ourselves, maintain whatever wellness that we can possibly have in order to be whole and complete people who get to move about in public life in the ways that we so deserve to. So that's my brief report. Again, thank you all for your immense service. And I know that has not always been the thank yous for that service from all of the avenues that there should be. And we had a whole meeting dedicated to addressing that. So I just want you all to know that it means so much to me and to so many people throughout the state, all of the work that folks are putting in, and the right folks are noting that work and so appreciative of it. And I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Pease for their report.
Great, thank you, Chair Blinder. Yes, so I'll also try to keep this brief and start on a little bit of research or data side of things. And note, we're going to be talking about community needs assessments later on in today's meeting. And so I wanted to plug for folks the work, the data that is already, that exists and that we are publishing off of earlier community research from the Maryland Trans Survey. For those who are interested, there are actually going to be a series of additional research briefs coming out, hopefully in the coming month or two, on a few additional policy related areas. So if you have questions or thoughts or things relating to some of that, particularly after our discussion today, feel free to contact me, or I imagine we'll have a few folks having conversations around that. But wanting to share that with you all as kind of a primer for that conversation. And then as a tangent, if I can take a moment to share a piece of personal news, because a lot of you were there at the governor's meeting where I mentioned my dissertation proposal coming up, and I did pass successfully. So a little bit of joy there. And I shared that also because the project is about social supporting connection for trans folks in Maryland specifically and in the current moment. And it's like Chair Blinder read my notes, because I was like just about to mention in my report, like the idea of joy and the idea of connection and the ways that we experience that with one another is so important. And I hope that in the work that you're doing and the ways that you're connecting within your communities, that you're finding that as well. And yeah, and just to reiterate also the gratitude that I have for all of you, for the ways that you create that safety and that sense of connection here in this space, and the ways that I know that you do it for the people that you love and care about as well. So thank you all for being here. Again, contact me for any data related stuff, and you might see things coming out next month around me recruiting participants. So apologies in advance, but yeah, thank you. And I'll pass it over to Director Browning.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pease. And my report is very short tonight. So just a reminder, if you have not completed your 2024 financial disclosure, those were due on April 30th. If you need assistance, please reach out. I think there's only a handful of folks that had not completed it yet. So thank you all for getting that done. And that's something that you have to do every year. And then if you leave the commission in the middle of the year, you have to do one for the partial year as well. I'm excited to announce that we have a location for the strategic planning retreat on July 19th. That's at the Banneker Douglas Tubman Museum in Annapolis. That's a Saturday. There's also just a few blocks away on the weekends, there's free parking at the Maryland Garage on Calvert Street, just a few blocks away. We'll be putting together a work group to work on that agenda. So if you're interested in the planning of that day, please reach out to Chair Blinder and myself, and we'll get that together. So really excited for that day with everyone together in Annapolis. And then just as we do at each meeting, just a quick review of the mandates from the commission. I just wanted to note also, I encourage you all to read the full legislation just to stay up to date. There are two pieces, the unchanged portions in the original bill that created the commission, and then the amended bill that does not cover all of it. So there are certainly other things in there, but I think it's important for all the commissioners to fully understand the full breadth of the mandates for the commission. But these are kind of, I highlight these because these are sort of what the commission was mandated to do as a body. I'm not going to read them all, but I wanted to point out that one of them on here that we don't always talk about is the create surveys and appoint advisory committees. So we have our advisory committees, and we're going to be talking a little bit later today about a survey, but that will reinforce our assessment of the challenges facing LGBTQI plus communities and the recommendations that we'll make when we update our recommendations this fall. So that's concludes my report, and I'll hand it back over to Chair Blender.
Thank you so much, Director Browning and Vice Chair Pease, for your excellent reports. And I'm so excited that we'll have such a wonderful space to hold the strategic planning meeting in. Thank you for your work to make sure that we had a cool location for that. So our next agenda item is the approval of our previous meeting minutes. Director Browning sent those over in advance. And I wanted to take some time. We'll use again the unanimous consent process to open up and see if anybody had any corrections or adjustments to those meeting minutes. Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and approve those. Thank you for preparing them, Director Browning. Wonderful. And now I will turn things over to the chair of our policy committee, Commissioner Caballero, for our legislative session debrief.
Yes, thank you, Chair Blender, for giving me the opportunity to, and also the Policy Committee Chair for allowing me to give an update on what our legislative session looked like, just recently passed in 2025. So, first, big shout out to the 33 total testimony submitted, 22 favorable and 11 favorable. That could not have been done without Director Browning and Special Assistant Harrer for doing all of that drafting that is required to do that. Also, thank you to all the commissioners that also spoke to these testimonies, as well as commissioners that did speak on their own personal time as well. It's a lot. I don't think any other commission has had that many submissions this legislative session, only highlighting the fact that we're probably one of the hardest working, or I know it to be true, the hardest working commissions in the entire state. So thank you for that. So a little bit on the unfortunate news. None of the great news. Sorry, green checks, not bad checks. Green checks. None of the anti-LGBTQIA plus bills passed, which is super great. There were several that were attempted to be passed, but we were able to swat them down. We were able to pass HB 1139, which is the Carlton R. Smith Act, as well as the Maryland Health Insurance Coverage Protection Commission. That also passed as well. And then the Primary and Secondary Education Comprehensive Health Education Framework passed. It did unfortunately get amended to include an opt-out provision for the family life and human sexuality topic. So that means in certain areas, parents can still opt out of sex ed if they deem it not what they like. And so we got to continue the work and push to fix that amendment. And then we also have provisions in HB 1006, Protecting Sensitive Locations Act, were included in HB 1222, which also passed, which is great. Unfortunately, 12 priority bills that we and cross files did not pass, including the only trans-specific bill, HB 1368 and SB 0314, which was the Birth Certificate Modernization Act. I will say that the governor's administration was supportive of trying to get the Birth Certificate Modernization Act passed, but unfortunately it was held up by the President of the Senate. So we did not get to see that bill actually see daylight for an actual vote, which is very unfortunate. And it also bucks precedent as we have been able to pass a trans-specific bill every legislative cycle. So the fact that that did not pass is really a big hit to the work that we've been trying to continue the work. So what we were able to discuss on the policy committee side of things is that a lot of the LGBTQ caucus, as well as even the government administration, was saying that they want to see more things from us, which is strange because we do submit a lot of things. So what this means is we need to be a little bit more bold with submissions of these things. And what that means is holding receptions, holding spaces before the legislative cycle, invite the caucus members to these little receptions where it's not so symposium like. We are still going to do the symposium, but in a way that is like, hey, come have cookies and drinks, and we can talk about the legislative priorities that we're having and kind of have more of a reception type of thing, working with other commissions as well, and just having more face-to-face time. Actually, in Annapolis, I believe, will be much more supportive as getting our policy objectives out there. You know, we can print things, we submit things, we email things, we talk to people, but they're always going to want more. So we're going to present more. So in future conversations, I would love to discuss about actually having policy priority receptions that are hosted by this commission, that we invite legislators and administration members to actually attend, and we can actually get more in the discussion in a friendly invitation way of these are the things that we're looking for, just so these things can never be overlooked again, or at least have the excuse of being overlooked. So that is essentially what this session is. I just again want to thank the policy committee. We met weekly for the entirety of the legislative session. And it is definitely tough to meet every week to talk about this stuff, but we did it. And I'm incredibly proud to chair this policy committee with co-chair, vice chair of peace, and making sure that we had all of this and done so effectively. And thank you to all the policy committee chairs that are here currently, Commissioner Bryan, as well as and Commissioner Nera. Wait, Commissioner Nera, you're not on the policy committee, are you? Oh, sorry, I'm just reaching out. They're in spirit. I'm with you. Yes, yes, you are. So thank you again, and to all the folks that made this possible. Also, and thank you to our wonderful Charlotte Hoffman in giving us policy briefs quite often as well, keeping us informed with the logistics of every bill as it was moving through. And I don't think we could have been as successful with the work and getting in front of as many committees as we were without your support to be able to speak intelligently on all of these things. So with that, I will leave a little space of time if anybody wants to have any questions that they would like to go over or any thoughts. Okay, great.
Would you like me to speak a little bit about session also, Jody?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't want to violate the rules. So
Yeah.
I just have a couple of quick things to add to what Commissioner Caballero has already said. It's for everyone's I used to work with Commissioner Caballero, and so it's hard for me to switch the calling her, Josie in a day-to-day thing to commissioner. It's very formal. So two quick things that I wanted to add. One, I think that it's very important that we understand that what was going on this session was not just affecting the queer community. It was a truly awful session for pretty much every marginalized group, and honestly, non-marginalized groups. Um, Effectively, from the very first day, there was a statement from like the leadership in the House, Senate, and governor's office that like the major thing that they were trying to do was clean up the budget deficit. And that took priority over effectively everything else. And it was also used as an excuse to punt on a lot of potentially progressive legislation affecting lots of communities that are under attack right now. So we saw a ton of legislation that was being promoted by, disability rights groups, immigrant groups, women's groups, people of color groups, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, every marginalized group in the state. All of them had their bills sort of tossed to the side and told, well, we can't really do this year because we're spending so much time on the budget. So it was very disappointing to see so many of our priority bills not pass, but so many other groups also saw that. And I'm mentioning this both because I want to put into context that the LGBTQIA plus community is not unique in the way that we were, ignored by the legislature, but also that there really truly is a huge need for us to reach out to other marginalized groups, and build a broader coalition, that says, hey, government, legislature, governor's office, etc. Um, we know that, you have other priorities also, but you can't just ignore all of like everything that's happening to all of us, and you can't just pit us against each other, and hope that, saying, well, we only have $5 to give you, will then result in us fighting all of each other for the $5 instead of coming together as part of a broader coalition that says the state can do better than $5. So I really wanted to encourage this commission, to do some of that outreach to other commissions, to other identity groups. And I know many people here are part of many different identity groups. So there's a huge amount of room for coalition building. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I wanted to hit on is something that was a little frightening that happened very late in the session. So one of the negative bills that did not pass was the bill that would have prohibited trans girls from competing in school sports. Um, at the last minute, there was an amendment on the education framework bill in the Senate to include basically the text of that bill, um, as an amendment. And so there, it, for the first time, we had on the Senate floor a vote on whether trans girls should be prohibited from participating in sports. And we had 4 Democrats who voted for that amendment, who were in support of prohibiting trans girls from competing in sports. And we had additional Democrats who were um, leaning that way until they were convinced otherwise by the Senate president. And so I think it's really crucial that this commission do that outreach that Commissioner Caballero was just talking about to legislators to explain why this sort of action is uh, not necessary, why it's discriminatory, and why it's not like the magic compromise that some legislators think it will be. Um, it's just terrifying when, people who seem to be, on our side generally vote against us. So I just wanted to raise that as one of the things that, we needed to be aware, that people needed to be aware of.
Thank you so much for all of that context and update. And again, I just want to thank all of the policy committee folks and Commissioner Bell, I see you there as well. And the folks that aren't on this call, Commissioner Chung Sun, as well as Commissioner Hollywood. The work is so incredibly important, and it couldn't have been done with the dedication of weekly meetings to make this work. And also Chair Blender attended most of those meetings, if not all of them as well. So we have incredible leadership that is making sure we get this done. So if I don't see any other comments, I'll be happy to pass it back um, to Chair Blender.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much, Policy Chair Caballero and Special Assistant Hoffman, for providing those updates. A huge thank you to the Policy Committee. Again, y'all were submitting so much more testimony than we have in the past, and that is really exciting and a huge accomplishment. And I just, wanted to also note the disappointment I think that I have in seeing that we weren't able to, match other years and pass trans-specific legislation in the state of Maryland. I am disappointed to see and to have noted that one of the folks who voted for that anti-trans girls amendment is in leadership, a leadership position. And I hope that noting that for the folks here on this call, and anyone who watches this later will, know that how serious that is, where we have a sitting member of leadership who are voting to exclude trans children, specifically trans girls. It's incredibly upsetting to see. And I'll just say, very clearly, there's absolutely no compromising for any members of our community. We will not be compromising our trans children for any reason over my dead body, frankly. Will we do that? So I just want to make that extraordinarily clear. It is not, oh, give up this and then, folks will back off. Absolutely not. That's not how any of this works. We are not going to throw any members of our community as collateral damage for this process. We will be making sure that we stick together. We will be making sure that we do not leave anyone behind. And we will be talking to folks and sharing more information about our community so that folks can understand us, because it is very literally lives on the line, being excluded from public participation in sports. It doesn't lead to good places. We all know our history. So thank you again to everybody who is making sure that we have folks doing the right thing. And I think we'll be facing another tough session next year. But I'm very encouraged to know that we have such a talented group of people and a talented community who will be making sure that their voices are being heard. So thank you again for all that excellent work. We can go to the next slide. I'll turn everything over to Director Browning for a discussion about the 2024 annual report.
So thank you everyone for your patience on the 2024 annual report. I know I just shared it towards the end of the working day today, so you probably haven't had a chance to look at it yet. I'd say it's probably about 80% complete. Our hope is to have it published by the end of the month, hopefully by the 23rd of May. So what I'm asking all of you to do is to review it. Please provide feedback. We want this report to be strong. This report is for the calendar year of 2024. However, I tried to work in recommendations that were made during this calendar year as part of the commission's charge to assess the challenges facing the community and provide the recommendations. So any way that we can strengthen it, anything that's missing. I am going through, I had flagged things in my email for the annual report during the year, so I still have to go back and look for a few that I know that are missing. But I appreciate everyone's help in making sure that the report is robust. It's a summary of our actions and our work over 2024. So there's things that have happened this year that I know are really big that we'll include in the 2025 report. But we can include the recommendations that we've made to date. So we'd be happy to include that. I'm going to ask that folks provide feedback by Sunday, May 18th, and I'll work to incorporate that, share it again. If it's ready to publish by May 23rd, we'll do that. If not, we'll get it done the following week. So thank you all for your patience on this, and looking forward to receiving your feedback. Happy to meet with folks as well. Everyone's eyes will make this report stronger. So happy to answer any questions as well. So hearing no questions, I'll hand it back over to Chair Blinder. Oh,
Thank you so much, Director. Oh, sorry. Did someone say something?
no, I think I'm kind of starting this one off too, but
Okay, yeah, handing it right back to you. Appreciate all of your work on the annual report. In case y'all haven't read our previous annual reports, they are excellent, detailed, and very well reflect the massive amount of work that this commission puts in, which is why it would be completely absurd to think that this isn't an extraordinarily hardworking commission. Thanks to all of you.
So the community needs assessment. So this is something that was in our 2025 strategic plan. So really the discussion today is about moving forward on this as a priority. We got through the session. I know we're approaching Pride Month, which will be very busy. But we want to make sure that as we work to develop our assessment of the challenges and our recommendations for the next legislative session, that we have even more data on top of what we already have to show. And there's been, in the last several annual reports, there's actually been a lot of local community needs assessments, some on the Eastern Shore. There's even one from Garrett County that's will be in this upcoming report. I know the Upper Chesapeake Bay Pride published one that will be in this upcoming report, but this would be a statewide community needs assessment. We initially were hoping for state funding to do a very robust assessment that we would repeat probably every 3 to 5 years. I think what we learned from the post-election questionnaire, we got around 800 responses that without resources that we can still do something. So the proposal tonight is to move forward with putting together a work group and getting a community needs assessment out, hopefully mid-summer, and have results by the fall. I'm gonna turn it over, or I'll stop talking and I'll see if Vice Chair Pease has anything to add about this, or any of our other researchers on the call tonight, certainly Policy Chair Caballero as well.
I don't think I really have anything to add other than to reiterate how important these data are. And I think as a researcher, I always feel a tension between oh, but we already know these things to be true. We have a wealth of data that illustrates the needs of the community, with the fact that within these systems, data play an incredibly important part in an ongoing understanding of what our community is facing, and has particular value in offering an additional layer of support to the work that we're doing and the needs that we know to exist within our community. So I'd encourage folks, if you're interested in research or interested in being a part of this, to please join us, because we'll need all the support we can get to move forward with this on the timeline that we need it to be able to respond to the ever evolving and growing needs of our community. So thank you for considering.
Any other questions or commentary on the community needs assessment?
This is Lee Sinjun. I just firstly want to apologize that I was not able to join early. I had an emergency board meeting called that unfortunately had a conflict with the first part of our time. But secondly, I'm not certain that I understand where in the process the current community needs assessment is. And if that information has already been shared, I apologize for asking for redundancy, but would have certainly loved to know how I can support in the next stage.
Yeah, so we're in the very early, I mean, it actually hasn't started yet. So this would be to kind of get that process going and to form a work group. So I think we'd be really thrilled to have you a part of that work group. And I will defer to Chair Blender or Vice Chair Pease on any additional follow-up.
Yeah, I think, oh,
Go
Chair
ahead.
Blender, if you want to go. Okay, yeah. So I think I mean, we will be collaboratively determining how this comes together and like kind of the next steps for it. But I think, in terms of how data collection and needs assessments generally go, a lot of the early tasks are going to be around, devising the actual survey instrument, or like the questions that we're going to ask our community, making sure that the questions are in alignment with what the needs are, capture, what we're looking to capture about the evolving changes, maybe even following up on some of the things that were part of the post-election survey as maybe an example. So kind of an iterative process of determining what the survey looks like, a plan for how we're going to disseminate it, and then actually doing the data collection. So I would imagine that that's what our conversations would look like, determining what we're measuring and how we're going to be measuring it. But I will also defer to, others about, because I think it'll be no two needs assessments are the same, and having folks' expertise as we, bring together what this looks like will be invaluable.
All right, if there's no other
Yeah,
questions,
nothing else to add from me.
hand it back over to you.
Thanks so much, Director Browning and Vice Chair Pease and everybody who is either interested in or working on any of the data projects. I know we have a few of our data folks here, and also Commissioner Chun Sun being interested in joining and participating in that process. I'm excited about as well. Our next topic is Pride Month. So let's see. We have many Pride events upcoming, thanks to so many of you. We maintain a calendar of Pride events that Director Browning puts together for us. I suppose I could just turn it over to you, Director Browning, if you'd like to go through it. And he has dropped the link in the chat for folks to bring that up.
Sure, and we don't have to go through the events like one by one, but this is the calendar. We appreciate your help in keeping it updated. Whenever every year it grows, which is exciting. There's more and more prides around the state. There are several on the same day. So we try to have a presence at all the pride celebrations across the state. I think on June 14th, there are, I think 6 or more events, and some big events like Baltimore Trans Pride, the Baltimore Pride Parade, Garrett County Pride, Delmarva Pride. So there's several events happening on that date, and we know that you all are really busy during Pride Month. So in years past, we've shared the link for them to request citations from the governor and presented those to the organizers during the event. They used to be, we would pick them up and take them. They're now mailed to the organizers. So I'll be doing some follow-up to see which organizations requested them and if they would like either a staff member or a commissioner to present if available. If you are interested in representing the commission at any of these events, just let us know, and we will coordinate with the organizers and you if you would like to present. The other thing we wanted to talk about this evening is, Pride organizers were reminded about the citation, but if they didn't meet the deadline, they may not be able to receive one. For the commission to consider another opportunity to recognize the organizations putting on Pride events. So I'll drop this in the chat, and I apologize that you all did not have more time to review this before the meeting, but it's relatively short and straightforward. Essentially, this would be a certificate of recognition for Pride organizers, recognizing, getting recognition from the commission. And this is intended for events that are free and open to the public, that are held either during Pride Month or other times of the year, as long as they affirm LGBTQI plus visibility and inclusion. Also, events that demonstrate the values of equity, accessibility, and community engagement. The honor would include a certificate of recognition that would just be probably like an 8x11 in a sleeve, like on a nice certificate paper. So the process to request one would be very simple. They could just email our shared email with some information at least 2 weeks in advance, and then staff would review, and we would present based on availability of commissioners and staff. So this is for like the events that are in that calendar. This would not be for like a ticketed event that's not open to the public. This would be for like the Pride celebrations that are out. And I see a comment from Commissioner Chung Sun. Is this something we have decided to do, or is this is a proposal under consideration? So I just wanted to find a way, if a group did not request a citation from the governor's office, is there another way that we can recognize them, like from the commission? So this is a proposal for consideration. If the body does not feel that this is necessary or that we don't have the time, that's fine. I just thought that this might be something to offer, and I tried to frame it very narrowly, that this is for Pride celebrations, not for, I think the commission could talk about later about recognizing community leaders or something like that, and having a process to review and select those, but this would be narrowly focused on Pride celebrations. So I will stop talking and open the floor, and happy to answer any questions about this proposal.
This is Lisa and Jen. I think that this is a great proposal, and I also agree that it would be worthwhile to consider a further opportunity to recognize individual leaders too, as a separate initiative from this.
Commissioner Tulin.
My question is just, if groups have like requested a citation, would this sort of replace the citation? So you would like present this instead of a citation?
Oh, no, I don't think it would replace it. And I don't think there's any reason that they couldn't have both. This just, it was kind of the impetus for it was suppose a group did not request a citation in time, is there another way for us to participate in the event? So I had looked at kind of like what other opportunities would there, could we present our own sort of recognition?
I'll just jump in and say that I think it's a really wonderful way for us to create closer connections with all the amazing organizations, and then also, that folks are so busy and don't always have time, to submit for this very brief window in order to get an official citation. So this really opens up the ability for us in community to honor the immense amount of work it takes to put on a pride celebration. So I'm excited to see it and wanted to offer that context.
The other thing that I don't know that is apparent in this, and maybe we need to clarify, but an organization wouldn't have to necessarily request it to receive it, because this is our recognition. We could even just bring it if we know we're going to an event. Obviously, we want to coordinate with the organizers if there's supposed to be a presentation and make sure that the names are correct or something like that. But this gives us the leeway to, if the event is tomorrow and I'm able to go to the office to print it, then we could potentially accommodate things much quicker than under 2 weeks. But that sort of just gives us a little wiggle room in case we're not able to process it that quickly. Maybe before we would potentially go for a vote, is there anybody that's opposed to this idea? Okay, it sounds like we might have agreement. I will hand it back over to Chair Blender to see if there's a motion.
Thanks, Director Browning. Yeah, I would entertain a motion. Yes, Commissioner Bryan.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but my question is, this going to be posted on our website? How will people know about it?
Yes, that's a great question. This is intended to be a public document and a transparent process. So this would be posted. I could also email it to all the Pride organizers and offer this as we approach Pride Month as something that we could do in addition to the citation. And thank you, Commissioner Chung Sun. If you're able to email me the details and a link, we can add that to the calendar. Or if you have it handy in the chat, I can see if Special Assistant Harrer can do that now.
think we also might need a location. And I am still entertaining motions in case anybody would like to put one forward.
This is Lisa
I
and Jen.
motion.
Oh, go ahead. You beat
I
me to it.
motion.
I second.
Wonderful. So Commissioner Dunn has motioned and Commissioner Chung Sun has seconded. Any further discussion on this issue? Opening it up right here. All right, seeing none, we can go ahead and vote. Just as a reminder, we do the green check mark for a yes or yay, the red X for a no or nay vote, and then to reflect no vote, there will be no action taken. All right, wonderful. This has passed unanimously. Thank you so much, everyone. If folks can clear out their check marks, that would be excellent. And that way we'll be ready to go if we do have any other votes. So just a quick reminder to clear out your check marks.
And Chair Blender, I don't think I have any additional items for Pride Month, so I'll turn it back over to you for.
Great. Wow, we have had quite an efficient meeting. I think we're at the open forum. So if folks would like to promote your Pride event, I know there's been a little of that occurring in the chat. But if folks want to tell us any more, I don't believe we have any members of the public, I guess, kind of, but also kind of not. So yes, this is our open forum time. If you'd like to speak, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. Commissioner Bell.
Hey, this is my, oh, if we have a meeting in June, it will be my last meeting. I am moving to New Mexico at the end of June, so I will no longer be a resident of Maryland.
Commissioner Bell, we will be missing you, and I'll open it up in case folks want to offer any words or connect with you in any way right now.
I'd like to just extend gratitude for your service and the contributions that you've brought to the commission. It's been really wonderful working with you and having you here, and I hope that your journey to New Mexico is safe and that you stay in touch with us here in Maryland.
Thank you.
If folks are already having their hands raised to be called on, so if you want to say something to Commissioner Bell, just come off mute, we can navigate it.
I want to know when the commissioner is accepting visitors. I'm serious.
I just want to say, Commissioner Bell, you are incredible. You are an incredible asset, and Maryland is losing an amazing community member. But your service and support that you were able to contribute to the policy committee is huge, and it was such an honor to fight by your side when we were at Annapolis testifying as witnesses against that trans sports bill. So yeah, best travels and better stay in touch.
Thank you. Visitors, totally fine. Give me a few months to start the congregational year, so November, December. Oh, you all will be cold. It'll be warmer. in New Mexico.
That works perfectly.
I cannot wait to come see you because I have been to I've been to 40 US states. I've got 9 more to go, and New Mexico is on the list. So
Awesome.
I will be staying on your couch.
You're welcome. We have a guest room, so you can stay in the guest room.
That is preferable.
Okay, I got dibs.
Well, Commissioner Bell, you will be sincerely missed, and everyone offered such heartfelt thoughts and thank yous, and to see you soon. So we're really grateful for your service. The state has been lucky to have you, and who knows where the future will bring. So perhaps Maryland can entice you back someday.
Yes, I would love that. I love this state, and you all have been such a joy to work with, and I'm so proud of the work that you all are doing. And I definitely will hold you in my heart and continue to reach out to you. This is an exceptional commission, and I'm so proud to have served on it.
We're so proud to have had you. Commissioner Dunn, the floor is yours.
Just want to remind people about Resolve MD. I've spoke to a total of 4 pediatric large centers now who are beginning to like cease their pediatric gender affirming services. I talked to one today, and I talked to one last Thursday. And so I am accepting pediatric, trans children, gender non-binary kids. 80% of my practice now are the kids. And so I don't know if you heard HHS and CMS, they are trying to ban the treatment from state insurances and for Medicare and for TRICARE. So if you know people, please refer them to us because we're not advertising. But I am seeing them, and I am prescribing puberty blockers, and I'm prescribing HRT, estrogen, and testosterone for them. And then second of all, it has not been an announcement yet, but starting on June the 2nd, I will be working with Planned Parenthood as the director of their gender affirming services. I reached out to them about poor access of care in Eastern Shore, some of the western and southern counties in Maryland, and they're very interested in they are passionate about getting their gender services up and running, regardless of everything that's going on right now. So I will be doing working as the director of gender affirming services, not services, but not just that. I will be doing some telemedicines too for some patients. So again, there hasn't been an announcement yet. I don't know what it looks like yet, but probably next month I'll be able to tell you. You can't hear me? Oh, sorry, that's Tika. I thought you said I can't hear you. Sorry about that. But no, I'm very excited to work with this very passionate group who, with everything going on now, is still wanting to do the fight, and that's what I'm all about too. But I'll have more information next month for you.
Congratulations, Commissioner Dunn, on your new position. They're lucky to have you for sure. Commissioner Russell.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First thing, I dropped in the chat that PFLAG Southern Maryland's Pride Picnic is on June 29th from 11 to 3 at Gilbert Run Regional Park, which is in Charles County. So it's free and open to the public. Feel free to stop by if you are in the area or want to make the trip down. And secondly, I wanted to update the commission on some stuff that's happening down here in Southern Maryland, in Calvert County. Last week, I attended the Calvert County Board of Education's meeting alongside a good solid group of allies and supporters of the LGBTQ plus community. But we attended to express our outrage and disappointment that the Board of Education recently voted to, or actually didn't even vote really, it was just kind of a general agreement to direct their building service folks to remove all safe space stickers from their school buildings. And in the process of that, the building workers also began removing other similarly themed display stickers, even something that was just said "be kind" and had like a rainbow on it or something. So very inconsistent, not policy-based decision, not an official vote or anything. So we went to the board meeting to provide public comment about the situation, and the board intentionally arranged the agenda so that the public comment that is normally in the earlier part of the meeting fell at the end of the meeting, after a particularly stacked agenda of business items that they reviewed that took well over 3 hours. And they also, as a matter of policy, which I did not know, limit public comment to 20 speakers. So if you do not get there early enough to sign up, you are not permitted to offer public comment to your elected representatives. They also, the way that they conducted the meeting was, in my opinion, very partisan based and unprofessional. It was very clear how they responded to speakers or individuals who were there from the LGBTQ plus community or supporters of our community, and how they responded to the handful of people that were there supporting the removal of safe space stickers. And so it was a very tough experience to sit through that meeting and listen to, students and community members come before them with very real statistics that we all know and stories that we likely have heard from those that we love, and to see them, not given a second thought and really just not even listened to. There was a student who even said that they had tried to commit suicide previously, and the board, later in the evening, when the student responded to another speaker, the board yelled at the student to get out and made them leave for calling out during their very serious business meeting. So it was an interesting evening, for sure, to say the least. But after public comment, they reviewed policies that were going to be discussed at upcoming meetings, and all of those policies were things that we've seen happen elsewhere in the country, including the review of a policy about what flags are appropriate for schools, a review about a policy regarding staff ideology, and basically, making sure that staff is neutral in all situations, so that nothing is promoted to students that should not be promoted to them. And I think there was maybe one or two other. There was, I think, 4 or 5 policies at the end of the meeting that they will be taking up at their next meetings that directly relate to diversity, equity, and inclusion themed things. So PFLAG Southern Maryland has been actively engaging with different organizations to try to work against what is happening in Calvert. But I wanted to update everyone here on what's happening and just see if there is an appetite for maybe the commission to issue a statement or engage with partners to somehow respond to what's going on, because going to continue and get deeper. Thanks, Commissioner Toole. Let me make a note of that.
Yeah, Commissioner Russell, I just want to mention that this is such a common experience that we have heard from all around the state. You're certainly not alone, and I know how vicious those meetings can be to experience. And I'm, again, we will not be leaving behind any of our young people, but we're also not able to protect them from hearing kind of vitriol that is being presented in meetings like this, or in our legislature for that matter. And I know that that has an impact on all of us. So I'm really grateful to you and to anybody who is going to Board of Education meetings. And again, even when, like in our legislature, a bill is not going to advance, people are still having to listen to that, including our young folks. And it is, those are recorded and available for posterity. Not every Board of Education meeting is, I'm not sure if they're all publicly available, to be honest. I know many of them are, but I'm just grateful that we have folks who are taking their time to show up at those meetings to ensure that they can speak, but it is certainly not unique to you all. So I wanted to make sure that you know that. I'm sure you and Commissioner Novak could have a very extensive conversation about some of those experiences as well as folks from around the state. So I'm happy to make some of those connections. If you aren't already connected to folks who are and have experienced some of the vitriol in these various BOE meetings. And I'll turn it over to anybody else who wanted to mention about BOE meetings, and then we'll move on. Actually, I don't see any other hands, but yeah, opening up the floor about Board of Education meetings.
Chair Blender, you're muted.
Whoops, Commissioner Bryan.
Yeah, I wanted to find out if Joe has a link that he could email to me. I'm sorry, Commissioner Tulin has an email that he could use to link the safe space message to. Because
why don't I just forward you the email? Does that work?
Yes, that works great. Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks, everyone. Any other comments about Board of Education meetings? All right. I think we have called on everybody, and we're finishing in some record time, y'all. I'll keep my closing remarks brief so that folks can get back to their evenings and all of the other millions of projects that each one of you are working on. So thank you all for taking the time, energy, and effort to be here. Again, I know it is such a difficult time, but each one of you are making that difficult time much more bearable, possible, and really fighting against everything that's going on in both small and individual ways with the folks that you're serving and your immediate communities, as well as impacting this larger change through the structural work. So it is, again, so appreciated. This commission is such a pleasure and such a powerful experience to be a part of. And when we're all working together and sticking up for one another, we can accomplish quite a lot. And I'm so grateful to be doing this with each and every one of you. So I hope y'all take maybe just a little bit of time for yourselves tonight. I know how booked everyone is, so making that request. And otherwise, we do not have a meeting in June. Is that correct, Director Browning?
That is correct. Our next meeting
Yes.
will be the strategic planning retreat on July 19th in person, which will have time for our regular meeting stuff along with our strategic planning stuff.
Fantastic. So see you all in person, and Commissioner Bell, we will be missing you. Thank you for your service.